You're listening to Mark of the Maker. Hey everybody, I'm Mark Steiner and you're listening to Mark of the Maker. This is episode 82 of the show, and this is going to be a topical discussion. We'll get into that in just a minute. We'll make sure we have everybody here with us. We have Mr. Michael Birch.
Here.
We have Mr. Sean Kendrick.
Hey, hey.
And we have Mr. Tom Crine.
Hey, how's everyone?
There we go. So we got everybody here with us. We'll start off with high five for our Patreon supporters, our folks that support us through patreon.com. That's a website where you can pledge a couple bucks to keep the show moving. And if you're not part of that, please consider it. We have great appreciation for the folks there. They keep the lights on for us, and we have pretty steady growth over on Patreon, so that's really helpful for us. If you're interested, patreon.com, and search for Mark of the Maker, and you can find us over there.
Yeah, thanks all.
Yeah.
Thank you folks very much.
They are super awesome, very, very helpful.
We also want to thank old George Palagonia at amxinc.com. That's amxinc.com. He's got all your Damastiels, Zerkatai, Mokatai, all your exotics, the weird stuff, the good stuff, and the titanium, the necessary stuff. So hit him up, tell him we sent you. It's amxinc.com. We appreciate you, George.
I heard George actually knows how to pronounce all the Damasteel names
What?
properly.
Oh, yeah. That's how I had to pass his test.
He's a smart guy.
That's part of the Damasteel dealer program. You have to be able to pronounce all the names.
Uh-huh.
You got to run the gauntlet. I like it. I wonder, yeah, okay, I won't go there. Yeah, what is better with George's stuff, the good stuff or the weird stuff? Or are the good stuff and the weird stuff the same?
Yeah, sometimes the weird stuff is the good stuff.
That's right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I like it. Yeah. All right, so this one, I have a working title, but what are we calling this episode, Sean? What's it about?
Daggers. This is the Dagger episode.
The Dagger episode. Yeah, I had it listed as Dagger. So that might be it. We'll see.
I like that.
What are we going to do, Sean? Tell the kids at home what the structure looks like.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about daggers, of course. And we're going to cover 3 different types. We're going to talk about a historical dagger, and that can be a specific dagger or a style of dagger. Then we're going to talk about what we're referring to as a sneaky dagger. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys pick for this, because I know what I picked is fucking righteous. And then for our knock it out of the park last one, it'll be fantasy. You guys know how we like to end it well on the fantasy note.
Mm-hmm.
We have a soft spot for fantasy.
Yeah, it's like a good night kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. All right, so it's a picks episode. People love picks episodes. That seems to be a thing. We get a lot of listenership for picks.
Yeah, I don't appreciate the time I spend looking at all the books. I enjoy it,
Yeah.
but my work suffers more.
Yeah, we were talking before we started recording. It's been an interesting one because we have this no retread rule. So if we talked about a dagger previously, then we're going to try really hard not to talk about the same dagger on this show. Sorry, Les. But yeah, it makes it hard a little bit, right? Because it's like, oh, I know exactly that. No, I can't talk about that dagger because I already did.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes I forget, did I talk about this or not? We're getting to do the enough episodes where I'm like, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, if your show prep involves going back and re-listening to all the picks episodes to see if you already picked it, that would be extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I actually had trouble with is this a dagger or isn't it? And what constitutes a fucking dagger?
Yeah.
I went dagger-ish on one.
Oh.
And that's okay. I validated you on all of those.
Yeah, I knew you would say yes, so I was like,
I'm just a pushover.
Yeah. Sean.
Just like me.
Desperate for approval. Sean,
my whole life.
Sean was the episode lead on this one, so he was wrangling, getting us together, and getting categories picked out, and collecting picks and all that stuff. So that's a very good point, Sean. I had that same thought as I kind of got into it. Was okay. Where are the guardrails on a dagger? So maybe give what your take was on what categorized or classifies as a dagger for purposes of what we're going to do.
Man, what I finally ended up on was it needs to be primarily for thrusting and piercing.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the Middle Eastern version of a dagger is very different than the European version of a dagger.
Yeah.
But they both do very similar things.
Yep.
And I started thinking, well, it should be double-edged. But then I got to thinking about, a classic medieval stiletto, and those don't even have a fucking edge.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So...
yeah.
I figured it has to be a thrusting, stabbing, puncturing weapon.
And we all fell in that category, or in that rough description.
Easily.
Oh,
Easily.
Excellent. Okay. Well, Sean had the preview. He knows what everybody picked, which is fun. It's kind of cool to collect the picks, isn't it, Sean?
Yes, it is. I enjoyed it. And man, nobody stepped on anybody's toes. I didn't have to do any pick again, so
Yeah.
it was cool. And, I feel like I'm on the inside because I know what's going down before it happens.
That's right. You have the spoiler. We definitely have had some need to repick in a couple cases in past picks episode, but I would say most times we kind of err on the side of, oh no, that's cool, but I think so and so is going to pick it. One of them I sent to you, right? I said, this is probably one you already picked, and it turned out you had a different direction, but I was sure one of them was
Yeah, but it was on my list. It was on my short list of 3.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it and take the kids down a path. The first category is historical dagger, and let Sean go first since he was the wrangler this time around.
All right, I'm going to send you guys a quick picture or two.
All right, and we're going to do the usual, right? We're on the hook to share these out to the group after this episode comes out, so people can follow along.
Yeah, any pictures I share with you guys will be going up in the Facebook group, so there will be a visual companion to go along. I ain't going to short shaft you guys on that. Yeah, you like that shit?
That's beautiful.
You like that?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so my first pick and my historical pick is the Cincadilla dagger from Italy.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is as daggery as daggers get.
It's the first one I thought of, Sean.
Really? Because it's
Yeah.
one of my favorites from a historical perspective.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're a long dagger. They're usually a bigger knife, almost short swordish, if not a full short sword. They were developed in northern Italy primarily and were at the height of their popularity in the 15th and 16th century. And the name Cincadilla actually means 5 fingers, and that is supposed to describe the width of the base of the blade. So
okay.
it's supposed to be, pretty wide at the base and then taper to a really fine point.
These would put a big hole in you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually the fullers are what gets me on those.
Yes.
And there's been some modern custom makers, 70s up, that have done some fantastic renditions of it.
Moran comes to mind.
Yeah. Didn't Kronk do one too? Or am I?
Maybe.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me at all. It seems like that would be right in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, just these weird, funky fullers that you're like, damn.
Yeah. This has a very Qatar-ish kind of blade to me. You know what I mean?
That hard taper.
Yeah. So for the folks at home, like you said, Sean, right? Really wide at the base of the blade, strongly tapering to a point, and big fullers in some cases on the side. In this one example that you sent, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fullers.
Yeah. Yes.
All in sections or segments of the blade.
Yeah, but man, it makes sense with how wide that blade is to keep it from being unwieldy heavy. You're removing that weight.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think these would be quite a bit larger than most Qatars also.
That would make sense.
These are big, like short sword almost.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, and they were kind of like these got carried a lot in place of a smaller knife or a larger sword or something in between. It was kind of a catch-all at the time when it was at the height of its popularity.
You know what's weird? Looking at some of these and some of the historical ones, you don't see a ton with the scabbards.
Yeah.
And
Actually, I did not see any with a scabbard.
And that's kind of weird. I mean, I get it, but from what Dr. Parikh has shown us, that the stuff should be out there, but I don't usually see it with that one. It's interesting.
You don't. And I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
That second one that you shared, Sean, the real fancy one.
Yeah, the super ornate guy.
Yeah, that looks like inlay or something. What's going on there, do you think? It's hard to say.
Man, I think that's the gold damaskining, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We've learned so much.
We have.
But, okay. See, I wish this was a Met thing so I can zoom to infinity and beyond.
Yep.
I'm looking at the handle that looks like bone probably, but the inlays, are those the pierced inlays?
Looks like it.
They certainly look it.
Yeah.
And then the pommel works really nice.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got some scroll, you've got some leaf.
Is that rounded pommel a typical thing in this style of the Cinquedilla?
From what I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I've seen, yeah. And really, that's a fairly typical handle, except for the little nipples sticking out on the side there in the center at the palm swell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more of a nod to aesthetic than that. It's certainly not fucking functional unless you're a fan of blisters.
Right.
Yeah. None of them really look that comfortable. It's one of those I'd like to hold.
And the first one I sent a picture of was the most functionally comfortable looking one that I found.
There you go. Yeah.
I wonder if the lack of sheaths is because these were put on display. These are usually fairly ornamental, and there wasn't a whole lot of use for them. So I wonder if they just, got put on display and separated from their sheaths.
I don't know.
Man, possible. You can't rule it out.
Yeah. I think we did we tip our hat to the Cinquedilla in the ethnic knives episode? It seems like we talked about it before.
We talked about it in the Moran episode.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah. Because Bill, this was a model that Bill really liked also.
There you go. That makes sense. I was gonna say, I know we mentioned the Cinquedilla at some point. I just couldn't. It's been a long time.
It has.
Very cool pick, Sean. I like it.
Good pick.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right, Tom. What's your historical pick?
All right. I'm going to send you guys a link. I actually didn't find a picture other than what's in the link. I went with King Tut's Meteorite Dagger.
Wow.
I really thought this was kind of cool. There was a gold dagger in there with it, but I think this is probably the much more valuable of the time. At the time, this would have been in use. Egypt was not really in the Iron Age yet. So this is, they believe it was something that was given from another country, but there was a few iron objects in his tomb, and this is one of them, and it's really kind of cool. I mean, we take iron for granted, and, in the Bronze Age, if you had an iron knife, you ruled, right? It was really that next step evolution in metallurgy and weapons and all that stuff. So I think this represents something really cool.
Yeah, man, like at the beginning of the Iron Age, that was just a brutal time in history, because if one culture had iron and the others were working with bronze or something else, I mean, you were just going to get slayed. You couldn't stand before them. It was just a whole different technological advancement.
Oh, yeah.
Oddly enough, a page I follow, IFL Science, actually dropped something today about that dagger.
Oh, really?
Saying, that they had done chemical analysis on it again. And I think that it was probably older than they thought, and that it was passed down from the daughter of someone and possibly made in Mitanni, Anatolia. because there's a letter that suggested to an iron dagger with gold hilt,
Wow.
Huh.
too, that was possibly gifted from a king of Mitanni to the grandfather of Tutankhamun.
So where would that be? Where's
I don't know.
geographically?
Somewhere, I don't know. And they were talking about the clay, what they call it. Some part of it had a certain part that was from the Nile, this white clay part. Very interesting.
What was the place that dropped that?
At IFL Science. It's a Instagram account.
Okay.
It's just iflscience.com.
Yeah, they're on Facebook too.
Oh, are they?
That's very
But yeah.
timely.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the definition of a historical dagger.
Well, and it's just cool because, I mean, we're using a lot of Meteorite now, and, I mean, we're not, like, forging it, but it's just kind of a cool thing. I really like the idea of that. It's always struck me, you know, that the iron dagger was much more valuable than the gold dagger to them.
Well, yeah, it's very interesting that they found meteorite. Knew, I don't know. That's a funky one, man. To be like, oh, I'm gonna make a bloom out of this or whatever.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, you wonder if they thought there was some talismanic aspect to the meteorite more than it was about, you know, oh look, iron. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's probably both. I mean,
Yeah.
You think at the time there was probably not a whole lot of iron mining going on.
Yeah.
And then this comes out of the sky and it's like something magical.
That's what I mean.
It's like, wow.
Yeah, and then they figure out that, oh, look, we're going to try to make something with it for the king or whatever. And yeah, I mean, I can imagine that story could unfold and make sense, but it would be really interesting to know more.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it was a low temperature forging because it still had the Widmanstatten or whatever pattern, the crosshatch pattern you see only in the meteorite structure.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Are there close-up pictures of it? That picture doesn't blow up very well.
So
There must
I
be.
actually went on, just now went on Instagram and pulled up the IFL Science, and they've got some great pictures of it.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay, great pick, Tom.
thanks.
Yeah, man.
I like it. All right, I think I'm going next here. This is, it's really a category of daggers. We talked about that when we were doing the prep. Is it okay to do a category? So it's kind of like what Sean did. I'm going to try to give my French pronunciation because I know it will amuse Michael Birch.
Mm-hmm.
This is I tried to look this up on how to say it. Miséricorde, or a miséricorde in American English, which is, from what I can figure, maybe just like a large version of a stiletto. Very, very similar type of weapon. Solidly in the daggery category. That one pictured actually has a sheath with it. This that picture that I just sent you guys through the messenger thing is out of the book that Dr. Rachel Parikh mentioned to us that I went and bought shortly afterward, called, buckle up, here it comes, A Glossary of the Construction, Decoration, and Use of Arms and Armor in All Countries and in All Times, by George Cameron Stone.
It's a cool book, right?
It's super cool, and I have to high-five George Cameron Stone's legacy for laying claim to the all countries and all times in the title.
Forever and always.
Yes, every weapon and armor ever made anywhere, pretty much is what that means.
Interesting.
It's a lot to digest.
Yeah, and it's literally like a glossary, like it said. It's like a dictionary of arms and armor.
Question on this one, Mark. Do you know if is it like triangular or like a square? Do you know what I mean?
It's a great question. I've seen examples both ways, and I think maybe even triangular. So triangular or diamond profile, or It looks like it was done in a number of different ways. I'm sending you another picture that I found.
It's super cool. It looks like it's looks like it's for shoving through eye holes or something, in armor.
Yeah.
Or joints.
You think to be
I know what it's for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm getting to that. Yep. Okay, so this is what is sometimes referred to as the Coup de Gras Stiletto, meaning the blow of mercy, the death blow intended to end the suffering of a wounded creature. That's kind of where the name comes from, is that miséricorde word. It is basically French for mercy. That's how it translates, is as mercy. And so I've seen writing about it both ways. One as a combative weapon, like to finish off your enemy, and also as a finish off your friend who you don't want them to have the long, slow agony of bleeding out kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it says...
same purpose.
Ultimately the same purpose, yeah. It says pointed, edgeless dagger, more like a spike, used by knights to deliver the final mercy blow to the mortally wounded, or command surrender by threatening to deliver the final blow.
If that's in your eye hole, you're going to surrender. In your visor.
Yes. It says it was used in medieval times to deliver the death stroke or the mercy stroke, hence the name, to a seriously wounded knight. It was designed to strike through the gaps in armor plates, quite often under the armor plating of the arms. Yeah, exactly.
Imagine getting that in the armpit.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, one of the write-ups about it. Oh yeah, here it was. The weapon is used to dispatch knights who receive mortal wounds, which were not always quickly fatal. It could also be a means of killing an active adversary, as in during a grappling struggle. The blade could be pushed through the visor or eye holes in the helm with the aim of piercing the brain, or thrust through holes or weak points in plate armor, such as under the arm. And in one of these, the dispatching move was the euthanasia move was thrusting below the neck down into the heart.
Oh,
damn.
Yeah.
In my move to turn this into a movie podcast, speaking of French weaponry, y'all need to check out The Last Duel.
Okay. Oh, yeah. With Matt Damon, is that the guy that's in that?
Yeah. It was written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and Ridley Scott directed it.
Yeah.
Which, man, you see not Matt Damon, but Ben Affleck with all the dyed hair, and I was like, I stayed away from that for a long time. But for being 84, Ridley still got it.
Yeah.
It's set design, everything's great, and that it's brutal. The very end is brutal.
Brutal.
Yeah. So, yeah, check it out, guys.
It says the weapon was used from the 12th century and has appeared in the armaments of Germany and England, although it's got a French name. Another reference mentions Persia as well. So there are examples of this, it seems, from a few different parts of the world. Ambrose Bierce, the great 19th century American editorialist, said of the miséricorde, quote, "It was a dagger in which medieval warfare was used by the foot soldier to remind an unhorsed knight that he was mortal."
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's metal as fuck. I love that.
It's interesting that style kind of carried into the nail, the British nail, the kind of secret, whatever, what I'm talking about.
Yep.
OSS type thing.
There was also a World War I trench knife that had knucks and a blade like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
And it was French also, I believe.
Ooh. There's, when I was doing research on this, on Reddit, there's this subreddit called Today I Learned, TIL, and people post TIL and then a new thing that they learned that day. And someone posts and said, today I learned there was a dagger specifically for finishing off a knight. And someone answered and said, yes, I've been stabbed by one of those before. And people were like, what? No, you have to tell this story. So he made a very long post. Sunday, September 11th, 2006, it starts. It also begins with great consumption of alcohol, and they go to a blacksmith friend's shop, and the blacksmith is a person who he makes like historical recreation stuff. I don't know if for LARP work or what, or if it's just like a specialty thing. And in that same shop, there was a very thick wooden shield. He claims 4 inches thick, which would be really thick for a wooden shield, right? Like a 2x4 turned sideways. So that seemed...
That dude couldn't pick it up.
Maybe an exaggeration, but it had leather straps on the back. So the guy grabs it, puts his arm through it. And apparently there was a rondelle, so like a misericord, but with a disc pommel and stuff. And the blacksmith says... It was at this point that the blacksmith inexplicably says, you can stab that shield with that dagger if you want. It turns into a say no more, fam kind of scene. His friend, he says, my friend, being freakishly strong, takes that right to heart and squares off. As he is about to stab, the blacksmith says, you might want to hold that shield out a bit. The dagger might go through. And he says, as I realized that my arm was on the other side of the shield, that's when the strike came. Quickly in, quickly out. I knew I'd been stabbed. Nobody else in the room realizes it because he's got his arm through the strap. And, next thing he's pouring blood on the floor. And so apparently the blacksmith let him keep the dagger. And he had a picture of it. Yeah.
Generous of him.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was pretty interesting.
He did blood it.
Yeah. So at the end of his thing says, when I got home that night after 3 hours in the hospital, I find my buddy who stabbed me passed out on his bed. I reared up and punched him in the hip as hard as I fucking could as a retribution. He woke up the next day saying he must have fallen because he had this huge bruise he couldn't understand. Apparently some transvestites showed up after I left the shop. It was a crazy freaking day. I'm like, wow, okay. That's a party right there, friends. But like any good misericord stabbing story, involved alcohol and historical recreation. So if you're a listener, Campo Anywhere, let us know. We'd love to hear that story.
Yeah.
So that was my...
Hell, it's not outside the realm of possibility that they're listening.
That's right. That was my history pick. That was a 10-year-old Reddit post I'd somehow drug up.
I mean, if you're going to get stabbed with a knife, that seems like the one to do it.
Yeah.
It's not going to make a big hole. It's like getting a large bore IV shoved through your arm, I guess.
Well, like you said, he kind of, I got stabbed. And then, of course, this thing like went right through his arm.
Yeah. Cool. Good pick.
Yeah, thanks. That was, it was a good one. I had another one, but, here's a great example, I think, actually. I'm going to send you another example one that we can ooh and ah over for a second. We probably actually talked about this one before. See if you can open that link. So that's maker we've talked about a number of times, Niels Vandenberg down in South Africa. He made what looks much like a misericord, right? This is Stiletto misericord. I think he called it a Stiletto, but it's pretty good size based on this video that we're looking at. This one's got a triangular blade with pierced kind of fancification in it. I don't know if I'd want to try to jam it through armor with the piercing, but maybe it would work.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, you're going for the gaps in the armor, so I'm thinking it'll work fine.
Yeah, and it's in a direction of strength, so it should be good, but...
Wow, that's a beautiful piece.
It really is.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, Neil's always doing bad stuff down there, so... Badass stuff. All right. That's my historical pick. Michael, you want to give us your historical selection?
I went down a weird little rabbit hole. I started looking up bodice, daggers, whether that was a thing, small daggers. Because I was actually looking at that for sneaky stuff. And then I got down into scissor daggers, or dagger scissors, which I found there's a lot more of these than I thought. And I had a hard time figuring out if these were actual self-defense or just a stylized or a way to create an interesting look. So, of course, I contacted Grace Horn.
Yep.
And actually showed her some that I found, and she hadn't seen them before. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. What's the chances of that?
Not high.
Yeah. She's like, oh, send me the link. So I sent her a link and someone had bought one of these for like 80 pounds or something. She was upset about that one. But she was like, I'm going to, document those, which was like, oh, I felt so like cool. Like I'd done something neat. But basically, and I kept coming across, I guess someone reproduces a Victorian era pair of scissors that look like Dagger. So it was my Google was hard. It kept pulling up this damn cheap set of whatever reproductions. So I kept digging and digging, and with talking to her, apparently it is more of a stylized thing. She said basically like the Victorian era had a big, they wanted a lot of medieval looking stuff. So they made these scissors to look like they were, something from the medieval era. So technically they're very historical, they're very old, but not as old as they make themselves out to look. And not likely that anyone is going to, get stabbed with these pair of scissors. But that first one you see that was at a sale, that's the only picture I have of that one. It almost looks like a price dagger. With guards on the side. Both sides. Real. Yeah, they have a grinds on the outside. And then when it comes together, it looks like a handle. And it's got a spring you can see going between them so it would close it. So you don't need the finger holes to open and close.
Yeah.
And I thought those were pretty badass.
Yeah, that's real cool. And those are the ones that sold for 80 pounds.
Yeah. And the other one that I sent with a guard is, I thought, extremely odd. That is a weird looking set of scissors. It almost looks like like a cutlass type of handle. It's got a very wide guard looking thing that open and close with the scissors.
Yeah. It would be very unfun to get your scissory fingers caught in that little guard closing up.
Yeah, so it was a very strange, rabbit hole I went down with that.
Yeah. Yeah, when you sent me that comment from Grace about, what? I thought, oh, Birch phoned a friend. I almost reached out to her about something too. That's funny.
Well, I'm like, yeah, if someone's going to know something, she's going to know it.
That's right.
And she shared a pair of hunting scissors that she bought and are heading her way.
Huh.
I am trying to copy the link to send to you guys right now. These are pretty badass.
Hunting scissors.
Same sort of idea. I don't know if anyone is hunting with them, but they are technically scissors and made to look like a hunting knife. So I can see where she would be very excited to buy those.
Oh, wow.
Oh, dang.
Oh, that's a trip.
Yeah.
Right. Totally looks like a dagger in the sheath.
Yeah. And look at the scabbard where it comes in.
Yeah.
The collar on that is so very cool.
It is.
Almost a balisong type of clasp on the back. So you could technically use these as it looks like, you could skin something with them.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to understand this, but the scissor part is on the spine of the blade.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have probably a 4 or 5 inch hunting knife. And then like if you're bird hunting, you need to shear off the legs. You can just use the shears and pop them off. Much safer.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So
Very. And ivory grips nonetheless.
Yeah. I hope it's okay I shared that.
Yeah, right. Good going, Birch.
By the time this comes out, they should be well bought, and hopefully she's probably shared them already.
Oh, yeah.
Those are sick.
Yeah, that's really cool. And that same kind of leaf spring opening function, right?
Yeah, like a modern set of Swiss Army. That's what's interesting.
Yeah.
I love the collar on the sheath.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's so perfect,
So many details.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, went a little weird on that one. That's a strange rabbit hole. Not a lot of stuff out there.
No, I like it.
That is for sure a rabbit hole.
Yeah, same.
All right, historical. Very cool historical picks. You're right. This could have been a sneaky. The bodice dagger scissor thing definitely could have been a sneaky too.
Yeah, and I talked to her about that too, and she was also like, that's pretty much a Ren Fair, more like a thing. Not actually something that was done very often.
It's not what she told me when I bought the dagger scissors from her that I bought. I'm just teasing. I'm kidding, Grace, you know.
But you did take them to the Ren Fair, so.
I stuck them through a 4-inch thick wooden shield.
Jeez.
Right into a dude's arm. No, I'm just kidding. That probably was not me. All right. Historical. Very well done. All good picks, fellas. Nice work. All right. So on to the next category, right? I think we completed historical. Did anybody have a historical backup pick?
No, mine was actually the Misericore, so.
Oh! Stole it right out from under him.
It was my backup.
This was my first thing that I grabbed from the, I won't read the whole title, Mr. George Cameron Stone's book, the Dag au Ruel, or I don't even know how to pronounce that. It's another Frenchy sounding name, but it's sort of a double disc dagger.
Double disc dagger.
It's got a disc at the guard and a disc at the base of the handle.
Yeah, those weird me out a little bit as far as like thrusting. You extend. Does that disc dig in? What's the...
Yeah.
What about carrying it?
Right.
Yeah.
Especially that third one over where it's got the taper the wrong direction on the handle almost, right, for thrusting. Yeah. Yeah, the garden pommel disc shaped. Yeah,
but
kind of an odd one.
These were popular during a time when people were actually stabbing people with them.
I know.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, in my mind, it shouldn't work, but obviously it must have.
Or was it a thing where this is the basic that was sent to, the lowest of the low, and it was the cheapest and easiest way to make this, as the blacksmith?
Yeah, entirely possible.
I don't know. I mean, it looks like you could make that easier a different way. I mean, I don't know.
No. Yeah, they're like, I don't care as long as it doesn't slip out of his hand.
Yeah.
Keep stabbing.
That shape, there's actually a couple of other knives in that glossary book that have this type of handle. A few different points in history. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, it seems like there's an African dagger or sword that's similar.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's what I saw in there. It is, after all, from all countries and in all times.
That's true.
And I flipped that baby nose to tail. Well, let's move on. What is our next category, Sean?
Sneaky daggers.
Sneaky daggers. Yeah, this was fun.
And I'll go ahead and roll us in. I'm going to send you guys a picture of my choice.
Sean is very fond of his choice on this one. He's feeling lively about it. Oh, damn, that is cool.
Right? Okay, what I chose is from Channing Watson at Havoc Works, and it's his HN7 model.
Yeah,
and it's a very slim, very, very, very pointy, very discreet dagger.
Yeah.
And let's see, he does them, they're done exclusively in S30V, and you can get them with a copper or a rich light handle.
I very nearly bought one of these more than once.
And man, I mean, they're discreet. You could secret it away. Yeah, man, I would like to have one with black rich light on the handle. That would be...
Yeah, black rich light. They're all cool. I like the copper too, although I wouldn't like the weight probably for something that's supposed to be super sneaky.
But it looks cool.
It does look cool.
Dude, they're slim.
And I technically don't have anybody that I have to stab.
And he makes an HN9 with a 9-inch blade and then an HN12 with a 12-inch blade.
Of this same design?
This same design.
With
all specs the same, just elongated at the blade.
Oh, damn.
We should shield test him.
Yes.
Actually, he's got videos of him doing penetration tests on, I think, pork shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
and
nothing.
It works.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, it's like lightsaber penetration, just zip.
Yeah, I was going to say, somewhere here, if you get the shape right and the taper right, there can't be a lot of force required.
No. It's a good way to
and
get
then
it.
it's got a reinforced point also.
Yeah, I see that. It's like a ball end mill coming down to cut those. So it's got a nice, I bet it just does the job so well.
Yeah, deep hollows and then a convex tip.
Super cool, man.
Just nasty fucking business, man.
Say the maker again.
Channing Watson at Havoc Works.
Havoc Works. Okay, I've heard that name before.
Yeah, he's on Insta, he's on Facebook, he's around.
Super sneaky. Yeah, easy to stash that one on you somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, dude, up a sleeve, down your calf, tuck it somewhere in your waistband. You got options.
Yeah.
And it will straight shank a motherfucker.
You would think with that, the way that's ground and with the fullers, with rich light handles, that thing's got to be pretty light too.
Yeah.
How thick are they? Did you look that up?
Man, that's actually, I neglected to ask him that. I actually reached out to him and talked to him about them a little bit, but I didn't ask about the thickness of the stock.
Yeah. Super cool pieces, man.
Yeah.
Looking at what I'm seeing there, I don't think it would be thicker than 3/16, and I'm thinking it would probably be more in the 5/32 range.
Yeah.
I was about to say it looks a little 3/16-y. But yeah, you're right.
Very cool, man. I like it. Tom, I think you're up next, man, in the sneaky dagger category.
So, all right. I went with the knife that I actually own, and I was going to have it here at the desk to play with, but I couldn't find it. I actually own, so it's the Gerber Guardian. It's a fantastic knife. It's a loveless design, and it's back when Gerber was making knives that I really enjoyed with the aluminum handles that were coated. They did make a rubber FRN type handle later on, and now they're discontinued all the way, which is really kind of sad. But the Gerber Guardian is a really cool sneaky knife. I've carried it that way. I don't know. I think I touched on this once before. I got this knife my freshman year. I don't remember what I traded a friend for to get it, but I did. And it didn't have a sheath. And so we were on vacation in Oregon, and I talked my parents into driving up to the Gerber factory. And, as a dumb kid, I walked in and was like, hey, I'd like to get a sheath for this. And they hooked me up. So pretty cool family
Nice.
trip. Yeah. So had I known, I would have pushed it further and asked for a tour, but I was happy to get the sheath. I think they charged me $15.
Yeah. Real cool.
But yeah, they're just really cool knives. Classic loveless design. They've got, that Coke bottle daggery shape. Later on, they made a Gerber Guardian 2, which is bigger and has some lugs for the guard. But I've always liked these. Let me send you guys a link. I actually had a hard time finding this. I found it over at Arizona Custom Knives. But yeah, a super cool knife. I've got a backup, but I'm going to hold that until you guys are done.
Man, the rubberized handled versions of those were pretty nice too. They were grippy. It was a comfortable knife.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just, for whatever reason, the aluminum handle ones, the classic Gerbers from the older days, I really like the 60s, 70s. I've got quite a few of the coated handled ones.
Oh, yeah. Classic sneaky piece.
And they're pretty thick, and you could do some good work with them. As a kid, this is what I had. I carried around. I did outdoor stuff with it too, which is kind of cool. I mean, daggers are not your first go-to because they're kind of, it's not as safe, right? But the good thing is you do have a really nice point and you've got two edges. So I carried this everywhere and used it for fishing and just normal dicking around stuff that kids do.
Yeah. When I was real young, I had the county fair version of that when I was probably way too young. But yeah, carry it around quite a bit.
Yeah, you can do a lot of work with them.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't put your
Go cut my
hand,
fishing
your
line.
thumb up
Yeah.
there.
Very cool piece. Was yours ground on both sides for real, Tom? Or, I mean, sharpened on both sides?
Oh, yeah, they all are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but the way they're ground, there's like an inch on either side where there's no edge.
Yeah, I was going to say there's no choil,
Yeah.
right? It just kind of blends out.
Yeah, and it just, where they're sharp is like it starts probably an inch past where the end of the handle is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's not a super big knife. It's easy to hide.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of wild that they marked it way out at the tip.
The
At least on the Arizona example, the Guardian mark is way out at the tip of the knife instead of being like, I mean, there's an awful lot of text on the blade anyway, right?
Yeah,
But,
so that wasn't on mine.
yeah.
Mine just had the design by R.W. Lovelace and the Gerber stuff. The Guardian part, I don't know if this is an earlier knife or what, but I did have that same crappy Cordura sheath.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Interesting.
had good retention.
Nice piece, man. Good pick. Good pick.
Thanks.
Like you said, it's got a kind of flat profile handle too, right? So it seems like it should stash up against you pretty nice in a even pocket carry or something else. I don't even know.
Yeah, boot carry, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that knife.
Yeah, didn't they sell these at one point with a spring clip sheath so you could boot it?
Well, that Cordura sheath does have a clip on the backside,
Okay.
so you can clip that in, and it was pretty solid.
All right. Well, I went, I don't know, I went kind of extra sneaky. Birch did a lot of, he's been doing some weird picks lately, so he might have gotten weirder than this one, but all right. So I referenced all books this time. I didn't do internet research. I did everything through books. And
Cool.
so this one I thought, okay, sneaky dagger. So I was going to go to the Knives Annual books, and then I was going to go to some other books that I had, and then I thought, you know what? I'm going to my Blades and Barrels book by H. Gordon Frost, the one that Bruce Bump turned me on to. And I thought, I'm going to look in there and see if I can find something really cool. So I actually did that. My sneaky dagger is actually a combination weapon sneaky dagger.
Oh, yeah.
So this is like, this is a movie thing, right? This is like I swear I've seen this kind of thing in a movie before.
Oh, I'm sure.
So this is a Belgian-made 22 rimfire pepperbox dirk umbrella.
Wow.
Oh.
So if you want to talk multifunction and keep your ass dry, it's got a pepper box built into it that slips right into the handle, and there is a dirk sticking out the end, a 4.5-inch spike basically out the nose of the pepper box. I'm not sure how this released. The other ones that there are examples of in here had like a pin release, like you'd push a pin in the handle and turn it from a cane/umbrella into the, like to deploy the gun part. Let me look here and see what this says about it. Quadrangular blade with stag grips. You can't miss with stag grips, right? Pinfire version of these interesting combinations was the most numerous. 127 of them are known to exist by the author and other collectors. These were made in Belgium and Paris circa 1880 to 1885. There are some extra rare. Oh, the rimfire variations are the extra rare ones. There are 32 of them that are known of.
That's way more than I would have
for real.
estimated.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. How many people out there would actually buy this in 1880? I mean, maybe I guess times were rougher, but it says one well-founded theory as to the scarcity of these pieces is that their pot and metal cylinders were too weak for smokeless powder, causing them to blow up when fired. So that could be a contributing factor.
Wow.
So there were actually a bunch of these that were in just cane form. This one I thought was really particularly cool because I love the umbrella angle.
Yeah.
It's like you show up and Birch gives you a hard time for carrying your little umbrella around, and inside is a
And you stab him in the eye.
stabby gun. Yeah, there you go.
I think I'm more upset about thinking about wet stag.
Well, it wouldn't be wet because the umbrella.
Hello?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Tom's just on an eye stabbing thing this
Yeah.
episode.
Well, I mean, daggers. I mean, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Dude, it's weird. I watched a video on Byzantine blinding earlier in the week, so I'm there with you.
On what?
Byzantine blinding.
What is that?
The Byzantine Empire, at one point when they were at war with the Bulgars, they had about 8,000 prisoners, and they're like, all right, and the Byzantine king got pissed because his favorite general got killed in an ambush, and he's like, all right, I know what we're going to do with these fuckers. They broke them up into groups of 100, and 99 of those guys would have both of their eyes gouged out.
Holy.
The last guy would only have one eye poked out. They would be roped together, and the guy with one eye led them home. And they did that to somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000 prisoners.
Oh.
That's actually smarter than actually killing them, because you just put a huge suck on resources, taking care of those people.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
pretty.
yeah. It effectively put a stop to that war.
Yeah.
Pretty damn brutal, but
It's a strong message to send. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you could do that with a pepperbox cane dirk, but
whew.
Oh, straight up.
all right. So Tom held his pick. I'm going to give you my backup because this
Yeah.
thing I think is a riot.
Hell yeah.
This is in that same category. It's only a few pages different in the book. This thing is rad.
Oh.
This is a 32 centerfire walking stick machine gun. Now, they had me at machine gun, right? Like, okay, I'm in. This is my pick. I should clarify. I'm going to send you another picture.
So no dagger, just a machine gun?
This is not a fully auto machine gun. They must have called it a machine gun because it was a semi-auto in this era, right? This is like the early 1900s. So let me send you the second photo because it shows it open. Okay, there's the second photo. So here's the deal. This is the craziest thing. This would not be a fast deployment system. Let's just put it that way.
No.
So you have this angle dagger head, right? And it goes on to explain that you would have a Browning 1900 32 semi-auto on your person somewhere. And okay, so you have a 6-shot mag. Nice, right? But you take the handle off the dagger, and inside the dagger is a 40-round magazine.
Can you imagine loading that thing? Jeez.
The spring in that magazine's putting in work.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy ass way to carry a spare.
It is. But if you notice, the end of the cane also comes off, and it's got a big ass spike out at the end.
Yeah, it's like a triangular blade.
Yeah, this thing is freaking cool. So it's a takedown. It's got a 10-inch fluted quadrangular blade. The 6 3/4-inch handle has a flashlight in its pommel, which uses 2 penlight batteries. It's got the 18 3/4-inch long 40-round magazine, and and a nickel with mother of pearl grip, Browning 1900.
What they wouldn't have given for a double stack mag, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that's the original extendo, man.
Yeah, right. That's like the Glock with the 50 rounder sticking out of the bottom or whatever, 30 or whatever
30,
that is.
33 round.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But maybe to a much greater extreme. Can you imagine firing that little thing with that huge magazine sticking out the bottom?
Dude, if you missed him, you could just butt stroke him across the room.
There you go. So yeah, I thought this was fascinating.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I want to see this in the next John Wick movie.
Belgian made. Yep, and this is in a private collection. There's quite a write-up in this book about it.
It's pretty whack.
Yeah, this is in the it's funny, this book has like, sword gun sword combo, axe gun combo, knife gun combo, a bunch of other stuff, and then there's like other. And these are off in the other category. And as soon as I realized that this other section was there, I'm like, oh, baby, that's where I'm going. Take me to the other. because you know there's some wacky stuff in there. So there you go.
Crazy.
The Belgian with the Belgian FN Browning 1900.
Man, that's weird.
It is.
Oh yeah.
That's a good looking little pistol.
It sure is, yeah.
Imagine like someone's on their brand new steam engine car, perambulating across the city, and they pull that sumbitch out on you.
Right?
Ugh.
There's not a whole lot of John Browning's designs that weren't good looking, in my opinion.
Yeah, true enough. True enough.
I have no concept of this, but how I have to imagine that the idea of a 18 and 3/4 inch long 40 round magazine had to be a extreme oddity in 1900 or 1920 or whenever this was made.
It had to be a special request. It had to be somebody that's like, I really need that. Like, are you sure? Yeah.
How about
come on, man.
220s? Nope. Has to
Will
be
you make
one-
this for me? I guess. What for?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
It's to help people mind their own business. Now mind yours and make me the damn
Right.
thing.
Think about how they made that, though. The tools they had back then. That's crazy.
The funny part is when I saw that first picture that I sent you guys where this is in the sneaky form,
Yeah.
I'm like, how in the fuck did they get that pistol in there?
Yeah.
There's no way it fits. What? And so I started reading, and it's had one of the longer entries in the book, and they explained the only disadvantage of this system is that it required that the user carry on their person the Browning 1900 pistol. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's kind of like combination magazine holder flashlight.
Yeah.
You
10
gotta-
inch.
You got to carry your Browning BAR with you to the store.
Stuffed
Then
in
it's
your sock.
badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. This is like rabbit hole, like Birch said. So I went and searched Browning model 1900, and there's one of those. Who's the guy from Midway that makes the videos? Larry something. Larry Potterfield. So there's a Larry Potterfield video about the FN Browning model 1900, which is really nice. It's only 2 minutes long, right? Nice little snippet.
They're cool.
And he leads off the description by saying, perhaps best known as the pistol used to assassinate Archduke Franz Ferdinand
Yep.
in starting World War I. And
Yep.
then it's hilarious because the comment section has gone wild since this video was published 10 years ago or whatever, right? No, that is not the pistol used to assassinate Archduke Ferdinand. That was a Browning 1920 or whatever. Or Browning 1910 or something. And it's like, it just turns into this whole devolved discussion. But
Actually,
exactly. I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, oh, bring the haters, man. So there you go. Larry Potterfield was giving us the lowdown.
Very cool.
Yep. Okay. What do we have next? Michael, are
Got
you last
me.
in the sneaky? No.
Oh, yeah.
And then Tom's got his backup pick to share. Go ahead.
Yep.
yeah, I'll have a backup too.
Ah.
This was daggerish, but I asked Sean. This one's been. I've looked at it over and over through the years, and it's such a strange, sneaky little weapon. Pat and Wes Crawford made a daggerish type of blade with two handles that sticks out of a kydex sheath that look like pliers or pruning shears.
Oh, yeah.
I
Have you
remember
guys
that.
seen those before?
I
Yeah.
have never seen that before.
I had actually.
Yeah, but
Weren't
I
they
cannot
plastic dipped?
Yeah, it looks like it, but it seriously looks like a set of pliers sticking out of a
That's
just a
hilarious.
sheath. But a pretty cool looking blade.
Yeah, very.
Wow.
But I could not find anything online. I looked up pruning, I looked up pliers, and just pulled up a lot of CRKT stuff, and so they must not have made a bunch of those. But man, that's pretty funky.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, you're gonna have to share a picture of that because I bet there's a lot of people who've never seen that before. I know I never have.
Yeah, no, it's funky. I don't know how to explain it other than that.
Yeah. So explain how you had this in mind, like it came to mind when you were thinking sneaky, and you remember seeing it.
No,
and
no,
went to try to find it.
No, I didn't. I'm not that good at being able to remember what book
Okay.
it was in. I actually went through the mid 2000s on the knife books because I was thinking of cool neck knives. So I was like, oh, let me hit the
Okay.
neck knife era. Then I came back across that bad boy, and I'm like, yes, that funk that I can finally share with everybody.
Nice. It's a good choice.
And then for a little backup, this is one that I also own, and I think I may have mentioned it before, the Boker MCS system. I sent you an eBay thing. This is a Bud Neely design, and he was real crazy on carry systems. So it's a neat little real thin blade. It had a magnet in it. When you get the box, it's got like all his different carry ways. You can, had the chain in it to do it around your neck or upside down in your suit jacket, or, it was made to be discreetly carried. It's a fun little knife.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, that is cool. I remember you talking about this in the magnetic setup.
Yeah. So I was like,
I've got one of those too.
Yeah. Figure I might as well toss it in there since, just a backup.
Very nice.
Oh, it's very worthy.
Oh, yeah. Bud Neely was very progressive when it came to different ways to use Kydex and carry.
Oh, yeah, man. I remember those early days of all the stuff that he was doing. Like, holy shit, that's crazy. And
I don't know about you guys.
What's that?
I don't know about you guys, but I really wanted one at the time.
Yeah. And there was a guy, a sheath maker back in the day that was doing like the double sheath thing, where it was like an axe on one side and a fixed blade on the other.
Like a shoulder harness rig?
Yeah. There was some cool stuff in the early days of Kydex.
One of the coolest parts about Bud's system is it came with this super heavy duty like Velcro.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It was like this hard plastic Velcro, and it was adhesive on ones, and basically Velcro this motherfucker to about anything you wanted to do.
So I researched that, and it's made by 3M, and I've got some here in the shop, and it's really pretty cool. I played around with it, like just putting it on sheaths, and you can Velcro different like clips or whatever, and it works great.
Nice.
We're talking the kind of hard Velcro where both sides have a very coarse hard plastic texture.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had that at work. We used to have it on big rolls, and they had big sheets of it and stuff. And we would actually use that, like if you, like in the modern era, you would take like a big piece of equipment and put it in a car. And sometimes we would make a rack or a stand or a plate that like bolts through the floor of the car and sticks up so that you can see this thing over in the passenger seat.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of turns it into a one-person car, right? Because the passenger area basically gets filled up with electrical or measurement equipment. And we would use that super coarse Velcro to like hook an old giant like metallic case IBM Toughbook looking thing and like snap it onto the stand. And then you'd be out doing crazy stuff with the car, and the laptop was literally glued to the thing. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
All right, Tom, what's your backup pick?
All right, my backup pick is something you can actually buy now. I didn't go too far back, but I don't know if you guys saw it, but Jason Knight came out with a little daggery thing called the Voodoo. Jason Knight Elements Voodoo.
Oh, yeah. Is this one of his project with AJ?
I think, I can't speak to that. I don't know. I think so, but I'm not 100%. And it's, to me, it's very reminiscent of Virgil England-esque feel.
Yep.
With that curvy dagger.
Oh, the blade, definitely.
And, dude, these things are stabby as hell, and they're really cool. And sorry, Sean, I didn't run that by you. I found it after, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
I'll let it pass this time.
I ran my primary by you, though.
Oddly enough, I got kind of deep into some OSS stuff and tried to stay away from it. And one thing they talked quite a bit about was called, was it tine knives? Where it literally broke a tine off of a pitchfork, got that same curve to it.
Ah.
Wrapped it, and would make little leather sheaths. I was like, damn. Necessity, man.
Yeah.
Dude, there's weapons all around you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this night elements.
Yeah, man, I've seen some of the tie knives. They look pretty cool.
I specifically tried to stay away from the OSS stuff because it seems like we've covered some of that, and then we want to maybe cover more of it in the future.
Yeah. So I
Yeah, that was
it was the
my-
obvious.
Yep. But I still had to look.
Yeah, no, I did too. I love that stuff. I actually bought, is it Spycraft or whatever that's on Instagram that you told us about, Sean?
Yeah, Spycraft 1-on-1.
Yeah, so he just came out with a book. I just bought that, and I was looking at it last night, and I was like, this is some cool stuff.
I want some of his shirts. Some of his...
Oh, dude, he's got a print for the schematic for the ASP pistol right now.
I want that
to
bad.
go on my wall.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's got some other cool prints, too.
Yes, some very cool prints. But man, that ASP I was like, yeah.
Mhm.
I want it.
Very cool swag.
DeVell to go
Merch.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so this Night Element Brands is a collaboration thing between Jason Knight and our friend AJ from Tactical Elements. So yeah, they've done a bunch of cool projects.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I didn't realize, I just looked at Jason's quick bio that it says his passion led him to attend the Bill Moran School of Bladesmithing in Arkansas, where he trained under Jay Hendrickson.
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't realize that. That's awesome.
6 degrees of
Yeah,
separation.
no doubt. All right. Well, very cool. Awesome sneaky picks, fellas.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So this is the fun one. Birch is getting, I can hear him salivating in the background. Fantasy.
A tough one. Like Sean said, it's hard not to, pick stuff that we've already looked at or thought about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and in this genre, I didn't really know if it was like fantasy knives, fantasy genre, I guess it was wide open, so you could go wherever you wanted.
The answer is yes, my friend.
Yeah, that's
Fantasy
how I took it.
adjacent. That's how I went.
What's that?
Fantasy adjacent.
Yeah.
Who's Jason, said Tom.
Woo.
Yeah. All right. Fantasy. Sean he's been silent. He's been winding up for his intro for his piece.
I'm queuing up pictures to send.
I'm queuing up the intro soundtrack, he said. Cue the guitars.
So here
Cue
we
the
go.
drum.
Ooh.
Whoa.
The serpentine blade one is my actual pick, but I felt I would be remiss if I didn't throw these other two in also.
Yeah. Holy wow.
Yeah.
All right, so my fantasy pick is from a maker named Lloyd Hill, and he's been making for a while.
Still making.
Actually, he turned 85 last week, and he's still making, still going strong. My primary pick is a crisp-bladed dagger with kind of a, carved choil area sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then this beautiful sculpted S-guard with kind of a rondelle shell that it goes into that has some, is that abalone? Kind of an abalone inlay in that.
Probably. He seems to use a lot of that. So I'd guess.
Yeah. And then the handle is broken up into two pieces, and I'm thinking that's maybe horn.
Who knows?
Wow.
Yeah, it's either black horn or maybe black paper micarta. I'm not entirely sure.
Ebony.
That entirely possible. But that's broke up in the center with another small rondelle that matches and plays along with the rondelle at the guard, and then sort of a rounded butt cap that once again plays along with the rest of the rondelles featured on the piece.
Wow.
And dude, it is just a feast for the eyes. It is the epitome of a fantasy dagger, if you're asking me.
It's really cool.
Yeah, so So I don't know. Do you know much about Lloyd Hale as far as, the history, Sean?
Very
So
little.
I feel kind of bad for Lloyd. Lloyd is, if you remember back in like Knives and Knife Makers and in the 70s, he worked for A.G. Russell. I think he also may have worked at some other. I know he worked for A.G. Russell, but he was a really popular art knife maker, and he went into an agreement with the owner of Jack Daniels, and basically they put him up, and he only made knives for that guy for like 15 or 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Oh, shit.
Now, I had heard that. I knew it, and I think it's more like 20.
Yeah. And basically it really kind of killed him, I mean, not literally, but as far as, people knowing about him, it just took him off the menu. It wasn't available.
Yeah, completely off the radar.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like he really got the short end of the stick. And I think that there were some bad feelings at the end there. I don't think they actually came through and did what they were supposed to do as far as the agreement. But, one of the spectacular art makers of the 70s that basically got disappeared because of what he decided to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, all those knives that were made during that time, black hole.
Wow. In-house knife maker.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah, I've seen his stuff recently on Facebook, and I've kind of been like, I wonder if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, same.
Yeah. Wow. That's quite a story. All right, Sean, tell us about these two other ones that are in here. These are backup picks, it looks like.
Yeah, so we'll go with this first one. It has a semi-wasp-waisted dagger sort of blade, very symmetrical, very pointy. It's a dagger blade. S-guard that's carved, and I'm not sure what that technique is called. It's not pierced. Just a really intricate S-guard, a lot of foul
It's almost
work.
like a rope.
The guard, yeah, like a braided rope kind of look. Then once again, it looks like we've got some sort of inlay where the guard comes in, more foul work, and then the handle. What kind of wood do you think that is, Michael? Is that ironwood?
It looks like ironwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, ironwood, and then there's inlay in that in, let's see, 4 diamonds.
Almost like guitar type of inlay stuff.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, almost fretboardish, yeah. And yep, see from that top view, it looks white, but now I'm looking at the view from the side, and I think that might be pearl or gold
Yeah,
lip.
it looks like
pearl.
gold lip on the edge and maybe regular pearl in the middle. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't tell.
Yeah. And then the spine of the knife has the same motif with the diamonds.
Then he's got black lip pearl in the pommel and guard.
Sides of the guard, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a 4-finger groove handle with a little bit of dip toward the end. It actually looks like a fairly comfortable
It really does.
hand.
For such a very elaborate one.
Yeah. It's very interesting to take a very symmetrical blade and do a non-symmetrical handle. But he pulls it off pretty damn well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, man, for the fantasy aspects of it, that dude looks like it would do work.
Yeah. Think how long it would take to do just the guard on that knife.
Oh, geez, yeah.
I mean, it would take you a week minimum, all the filing and fitting and geez.
And just the polishing. I mean, look at the polish job on all that foul work, man.
Yeah. And it's still all crisp and clean.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It'd take me a week just to get the buffing compound out of that.
Yeah,
think about
shit.
polishing the inside radius of that top guard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
These were all made by the same maker, Sean?
Yep.
Yes.
All by Mr. Lloyd Hale. And like I said, you can find him on Facebook.
Interesting. Yeah, a little teeny bit of recurve in that blade, too. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Wasp waist.
Yeah, very clean.
There's not a single surface on that hasn't been adorned.
Yeah.
Wow.
Perfectly polished, adorned, worked over with a file. I mean,
What's in the butt cap? Is that an opal?
I can't tell.
Like a
It's
fire
opal.
opal?
Awful iridescent.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
got some
Yeah.
crazy colors.
Yeah, we were thinking blacklit.
But now I could see it being opal also.
Could be,
Especially
yeah.
given the size.
Yeah.
Man,
Wow.
that's sexy.
And then the third piece, I mean, on that third one,
Yeah.
where the fuck do I even
I
start?
was going to say, you're going to have a hell of a time explaining what that thing looks like.
Just
Guys,
put a picture
I
up.
mean, yeah, I was going to say, just find the visual companion. It's going to be a lot fucking easier.
Yeah. That's a crazy
'Cause
one.
It's a D guard of sorts with a large T guard also at the regular guard area.
Yeah, that thing's nuts.
Once again, looks like there's an abalone inlay in the wasp-waisted dagger blade.
Yeah.
There's like a corkscrew skull crusher.
Right.
Unicorn horn is what I thought of it as.
Yeah,
A small
there you
piece
go.
of unicorn horn.
The blades
Or
inlaid.
narwhal horn.
I would describe this as very floral, Sean. That's what it makes me think of because those all look like flowers, right?
Oh, yeah,
Some
Kind of.
Definitely.
like stems and blooms of flowers almost.
Very organic.
Yeah. Wow.
Victorian death.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Super, super elaborate.
And I mean, once again, for all the artsy affectation, it'd do some business.
Shit, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that blade is nasty, nasty. And
Awesome.
just doing that fucking abalone inlay down the medial area where the grinds are just starting to terminate. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you guys really, I mean, you've got to see the picture of this fucking thing.
Yeah. Totally crazy one. Wow. That's a wild one. All three of those are crazy, but that last one, the detail and the intricacy is off the charts. I really like that Chris blade though. You know what I think is really cool about that Chris is it's like it's asymmetric, but it's
Yes.
like the right
Straight
amount
up.
of asymmetric all the way. Like when I first started
Yeah.
looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, it's gonna come back to the center, but it doesn't. He keeps it asymmetric all the way down. I think that's visually very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it.
Now, all three are a feast for the eyes.
Yep. Wow.
I love the crisp blade shape.
Yeah.
I actually cut one out. I'm going to try to make one.
Do it.
We'll see if it works.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that, man. All right, who's next in Fantasyland? Good picks, Sean. I think Tom's up.
So the first thing I thought was, hey, I'm going to grab my points of interest and scroll through the books. And,
Yeah.
as I thought about it more, I kind of decided to go a different way. I went fantasy as like a reading genre. And so I picked a knife that I was sure nobody else was going to pick just because of the way I went with it. And I went with the ruby hilted dagger from the Wheel of Time series.
I knew Brandon Sanderson was coming.
It's actually Brandon Sanderson finished the series, but it was started by Robert Jordan.
Okay.
And it's Matt is one of the main characters, and he picks up this cursed ruby hilted dagger in Shadar Logoth, and basically it puts a curse on him. But it's a really badass dagger. I mean, if he even scratches you with it, that's pretty much you're done. But in the series, this is one of those daggers that really stood out. One of the weapons that really stood out. One of the main character's weapons, and it plays an integral part of the series. So I went with this. I really like fantasy as a genre when I read, and this was one that just popped into my mind. So there's not really a picture. I'll send you there's like a Wheel of Time wiki page that has like some information on what they think it might have looked like, artist conceptions. But yeah, that's my pick.
You're supposed to picture it in your mind, Tom. That's the beauty of writing.
Oh, yeah, I have. And I love to read for that reason.
What'd you think of the the series iteration of it?
The The Wheel of Time is one of those series that I think would be very difficult to try to do as a series. If you separate it and just go with it as a separate thing, which I feel a lot of people have a hard time doing, I think it was okay. I don't like some of the stuff they did with it, but once again, how do you condense, these huge books into a few short 40-minute series, and tell the whole story? I think it's impossible.
Yeah, I think it was fine.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I came across Robert Jordan as a kid when he wrote Conan book.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that was one of the series that really kind of bummed me out, honestly, as far as I loved the series, but I learned that was reading those and having to wait every year for the next book to come out really kind of pissed me off. And I realized that the way I'm built, I don't want to start series that aren't like finished or don't have like a ton of books already done.
Yeah.
Because that wait was just brutal. And then he ended up getting sick and it was a bigger wait, and then he died, and it was just like kind of brutal. That's part of the reason I didn't ever finish the Stephen King the Tower series or whatever.
Still haven't finished them, or
I never did. I read like the first 2 or 3, and then I read a thing where he said that he could keep writing this story until he died and not finish it, and I was like, I'm out.
Well, it's finished, and you should go back and finish it, dude. It is totally worth it. My favorite books probably ever.
I loved them when he was writing them, and I would wait for the next one, but when he said that, once again, it pissed me off. I'm like, well, what do you mean you're not going to finish the story?
Who does
so I guess
that?
I need to go back and look at it.
Yeah, you read them or listen to them, you'll understand why.
Yeah, for real. And it's more than a worthwhile listen, however you want to consume it.
Mm-hmm.
Man, those last 3 books are a fucking whirlwind.
Mm-hmm. Gets a little meta in there.
Got the first couple still in my Audible account.
Do it. Take
will.
a journey.
Do it.
I actually just got Whiplash, the DVD recommended. We were going to watch it last night, and my wife worked yesterday, and she was too tired, so we've got it scheduled to watch maybe tomorrow night.
Yeah, man. If you got any sort of slightly obsessive, parts to you about what you love to enjoy, it might hit a little home for you.
I'm sure it will. But yeah, I love this genre.
Okay.
That's what I got.
Interesting pick, Tom.
Thanks.
Okay. So I did I thought Tom was going to say, I was going to go get the Knives Point of Interest books out and just scroll through there and find something, but I decided that would be cheating. So instead, I took a journey into my mind, but I did exactly what Tom said. I went to the Knives Points of Interest books, and I grabbed book 5.
Great reference.
And I pulled this book out, or this knife, as my primary pick for largely for its sheer absurdity.
Oh, yeah.
If you flip through these books, you've seen this before. So this is a very large knife, 22.5 inches overall, made by Mr. Al Eaton, who is the father of Rick Eaton. And Michael and I were at the Arts and Metal Show. Rick Eaton is one of the makers that we talked to there, or at least I briefly did. Very well-known knife maker. His father, Al Eaton, made this knife. And Al Eaton was known very much for one-of-a-kind art knives and miniatures and other stuff. He started making knives in 1977 in California. And this one is called the Star Warrior. And you can see why.
Mm-hmm.
This is very much a science fiction starship type of dagger. Yeah, 22.5 inches, quite big, 15-inch blade. So I'm not sure how to describe this for the kids at home, but like I said, it looks like a spaceship, a very rad spaceship, with a rayskin handle, kind of a couple of points in the front, the main blade, and then sort of a secondary spike out the front. At the back, it's got a skull crusher that has this very, I'm going to call that insect-like geometric pattern sort of shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very, very crazy looking piece. I was flipping through and I'm like, whoa, okay. I have to pick that because it's so wild looking. But it is on, let me pull the page for anybody who has these books, because we recommended a bunch of times. Knives, Points of Interest. It is on page 46 of the 5th book.
Yeah, that is such a wild piece.
Yeah, very unusual one. So that was my primary fantasy pick. My backup fantasy pick is different but also crazy, and I'm sending it to you now. It is in the very same area of that book. It is on page 43.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was made by Al Scott. And what I take away is Al Scott did all of this. The engraving, the piercing work. If you look at that, okay, so this is an 8.5-inch dagger. When you look at the detail in it, I was thinking, oh no, this has got to be huge. But it's not. It's an 8.5-inch dagger. It has so much stuff stuffed into this knife. It is a dagger, but it's an asymmetric dagger. It has a bunch of pierced work in the blade. So in the flat of the blade, the whole center section of the flat is pierced out and carved away to have another dagger or sword in the pierced area, suspended by some scroll work in 3 dimensions.
Huh. Yeah, must be a Joan of Arc's sword.
Yeah. So it's got some inlay and writing on it that says, gosh, what does that say? It's in my picture.
Wounding of Joan of Arc.
The Wounding of Joan of Arc. Yeah.
I love the pommel.
Yeah, so it's got Joan of Arc's face in the butt cap in ivory, carved in 3D, but her face is inside her helmet.
Yeah.
And the helmet makes up the rest of the pommel, carved out of metal.
Yeah.
Imagine like sitting down and thinking, hey, I got an idea. I'm going to make this. Where the hell do you start?
Yeah.
I have stared at that one for a while, more than a few times.
Absolutely fantastic. So it's one we definitely have to share pictures of. So I'll share this.
Yeah, I mean, you completely didn't mention the gold and rubies.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's. I'm like Rachel now. I just take those for granted, Sean. Yeah, gold floral around
Gold.
gold here, there, gold at the guard, gold at the base of the handle, 3-dimensionally carved with rubies in the center of each of the flowers.
Yeah.
You know,
that old chestnut.
a little gold, little ruby, whatever it takes. So yeah, pretty fab piece. And then there was another one, and I don't know if I should talk about all these. I should probably stop, right?
I mean, if we want to have any shows in the future. I mean, shoot, let's blow it.
All right, I'm gonna send you this picture anyway, because this one reminds me of something else. This reminds me a lot of that knife that we saw in New York, Michael, the
spaceship,
the Star Trek knife. Mm-hmm. Was that a Mora? Is that who that made that? Who was that? Yeah. This is a knife made by Jacques Jobin, I'm going to guess is how you pronounce his name. Jacques, Jobin, in Quebec, Canada, called the Battle Star. And this is very daggery-ish, asymmetric dagger. It actually has 2 mini, I assume, spring-loaded rocket launchers, which is kind of awesome.
So cool.
And it's got a laser, Tom, so it can shoot laser beams. Why wouldn't you want to do that?
That's just beautiful.
It's very artistic. It's an asymmetric dagger with rocket launchers and a laser that also happens to look like a very streamlined, I'm going to call it a retro-futuristic starship.
Mm-hmm.
It's got
How in the hell did he anodize the pins in the blade?
I assume they're tie, and he could anodize them in place and not hurt the steel, but
it would discolor the steel.
Yeah. Paint it, right. I guess. I don't know.
Wonder if they're below the surface.
Actually, you can anodize paint. Man, I think I've got an idea of how you might be able to do that.
You do it with a paintbrush. I've done that on the beads before, but
gotta be really careful.
Very careful, yeah.
Yeah.
Mask it off.
Yeah.
Or put them
now-
slightly below the surface.
So for the people at home, this thing has got a steel blade and a tie handle, but the tie handle is super three-dimensionally sculpted. And the way it looks like this works is it's almost like a super D-guard. And you basically stick your hand into the spaceship and hold on to the handle. That's what it looks like is going on here.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, we'll never know because it's in a private collection in the Middle East.
And man, there's some dude in the Middle East who has a collection of spaceship knives.
Ah.
Because I have seen several other spaceship knives kind of in this vein, and they all say private collection Middle East in the annotation.
Okay.
A lot of De Braga stuff.
Yes.
I wish some of these
Oh,
people
man.
with the...
There was a French maker, too, who did several.
Yeah. Might be this guy. He actually has if you go to his futuristic knives section of his webpage, I just sent you the link. He's got a bunch of this stuff.
I wish some of these people would put together some like coffee table books. That, they have the money to. Why not show off their collection?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That link is awesome, Mark.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my favorites, if you go to his website and go to the futuristic knives section, there I was going to pick this as my pick. There is a squadron of push daggers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a set of 5 push daggers that are very spaceshipy. And like there's a whole formation of them, which is freaking awesome. So Jacques Jobin, I think is
there's
his
some
name.
cool pieces there.
Yeah. Fun stuff. So
Oh, yeah.
if you don't have the Knives Points of Interest book, we've said it before, we'll say it again, go buy them. Most of them are on A.G. Russell. If you can't find them there, you can go find them through Abe Books or any of the online used booksellers, and fantastic photos and lots of awesome stuff in there. Okay, so last up is Michael.
Yeah.
Michael's been on that freaky tip. Show us what you got.
Like I said, this is kind of fantasy adjacent.
Ah,
But who wants to see a Chris Reeve Kindle?
Whoa.
Whale ivory, ebony, sterling silver, and Damascus.
Wow.
Don't forget the selective copper plating.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's something. And I tried to Google this up, and I could not find a single thing about this. So this was in one of the Knives 88, page 71, just kind of a picture of it, and it just says what it's made of and who made it. So
Wow.
it says Chris Reeve took a break from military knives to make this Kindle. So it's you basically almost like you can imagine sort of a Roman short sword. If you don't know what a Kindle looks like, long blade, very,
Caucasus Mountains.
Yeah, you wouldn't think Chris Reeve made this at all
No.
if you just saw it out there. But it's kind of an amazing piece. So one thing I looked up when I was doing this was like, just sword, short sword, Chris Reeve short sword. Then I came across the broadsword he made in his integral fixed blade. And it was, of course, it's a Pinterest thing that I could not get into, so I just screenshotted it.
I'm pretty sure I saw that at Blade one year.
It's pretty massive.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
That's a good thing and the bad thing about the internet. Not everything's on there, and when you try to search some of these rarer things from like a prolific maker like Chris Reeves, all you get is the vanilla stuff.
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds of hits of that. So finding this, and Chris was one of those guys that made a lot of pretty crazy cool stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just not out there. It's hard to find.
Google, I think it's just a matter of too much on the internet sometimes.
Yeah.
So
That is a really
I tried
cool
to find,
pick.
because I wanted to learn so much more about this. But you guys will have to see a picture. It's pretty amazing.
Of this Kindle?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. If you showed this picture without the caption and you said, who made this? Let people guess. They would never, ever, ever guess Chris Reeve.
And I'd bet money on it. I'd be making money. You will not guess who this is.
Right.
Oh, dude, I would have said Vince Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been actually probably number one guess there.
Funky, man. That's really cool. We talked about the Kindle, I think, during the Ethnic Knives episode. It's got a very distinctive handle shape and probably blade shape too, right? But for me, that's the handle that always kind of sets that design to me.
Well, and I mean, he kept it traditional with the raised handle bolts.
Yes.
And then I had to send something just a little weird. What do you guys want to call this? The double dagger?
The double dagger.
Wow.
The four slicer?
Yeah.
It's called the Saber Tooth by Don Hedrick. Basically, it's two daggers side by side, and one handle.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. That's for when you hate somebody so bad you need to stab them twice at a time.
Imagine the forensics guy trying to figure that one out.
Well, this person was stabbed 18 times or 22 times. Curious that it's always an even number. That's pretty crazy, man. I've not seen that before. Yeah. Didn't Rachel show us a knife or some kind of weapon that had double blades like this?
But I think they opened up.
Oh, they opened and closed. That's right. They spread apart. Yeah.
I did my best not to look at points of interest because that's always a go-to.
Yeah.
So I kind of did that. I was like, I made myself not open them because I wanted to so bad.
All right. Now you're making me feel bad for doing it, but
once again,
it's my comfort place.
Yeah.
Once again, what went through this guy's head?
Probably commission.
Can I?
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, pretty cool.
I like the idea a lot.
I do find it interesting that none of us went to the obvious go-tos on this.
Like what?
At least in my mind, for fantasy would be Kronk or Gil Hibben.
Yeah.
See, that's where I would have. See, okay, so man, I was Googling all over the place, looking at stuff, and I came across a Gil Hibben, like a picture of one, and it was a handle, but it wasn't off 90 degrees.
Yeah.
But then I tried to hit back. So I was like, wait a minute. And I lost it. I could not find it. And I was so mad. Because I was like, what? Wait a minute.
Right. That happens.
Ugh. It's like the Instagram page when you click it and you're like, no, wait. There's something I want to see. It's gone.
But I mean, obviously those two are the kind of the grandfathers of the fantasy genre of knives, in my opinion, anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I talked about this one that you just sent us, Michael. I picked this for an episode.
Oddly enough, I saved that because I was like, wait, that's not for sale.
Yeah.
This was before this whole episode thing came out that I was looking at, and I was like, wait a minute. Oh, no, it was because I was looking up Dagger, just seeing what was out there.
Oh. Yeah, is that a knockoff or is that... it says D2.
I don't know.
Maybe it's just some super scam page.
Yeah, because the rest of the knives on that page are, your normal bad Damascus, whatever.
Yeah, right.
I was like, wait a minute.
Isn't that knife a Fred Carter or something? I don't remember who made that.
Kronk. That's
a Kronk. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sidebar, but yeah, that's interesting. Like you said, and we talked about this at the beginning of the show, these picks episodes get harder, right? Because it's like you don't want to go always to the same well. We don't want to have a show where we talk about daggers and talk about all the same makers that we've already talked about in past episodes. So, and we've dove pretty deep before into the fantasy thing, but fortunately it's a very large pool.
It's a fun pool. It's a very fun pool to swim in.
It really is.
Yeah.
So I just like, it's kind of like concept cars and stuff like that where people are like, I don't give a shit. I'll make what I want.
Right.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of can I and not a lot of should I.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I love the spaceship stuff. I don't know why. Me, that's always so cool.
Yeah. I think it's just this stuff we grew up watching.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a sucker for the spaceship knives. I've picked spaceship knives for other stuff in the past, and it's, I don't know, that's like I said, that that Star Warrior thing was like, stopped me in my tracks. Like, boom, that's the one. Okay, what page is that? Write it down, take a picture so I can send it. I knew you guys had seen it before because devotees of those books, but
Yeah. I mean, hell, I'll watch a sci-fi in space just to see what kind of spaceship they got, what kind of design it is.
yeah.
Love that shit.
Well, super fun, fellas. Super fun.
picks.
Yeah. You guys got anything else you want to throw in as far as picks or knives or whatever before we keep rolling?
No, I think better
Man,
better keep a little quiet.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I actually had a couple backup picks for fantasy, but I want to keep those cards to my chest for
There
right
you
now.
go. There you go.
Mhm.
You know we're coming back to fantasy knives for some other version of picks in sometime in the future. It's guaranteed. All right, so for folks who listen, sorry this is a Google-heavy episode, except some of these you're not going to find in Google. That's the thing, right? They're going to have to wait for the pictures. So please, if you're interested and our incredibly poor descriptions aren't helpful, join us in the Facebook group. We may even have to start posting these on Instagram or something. We'll have to figure out how to do that to be able to share them with people. But anyway, we'll post them in our Facebook
Hell,
group.
I don't care what kind of wordsmiths we are. We're not describing them proper.
Yeah,
No.
There's just no way.
yeah. Even the simple ones, not very well. So we're doing our best. But like I said, check out our Facebook group. Lots of good discussion there about things we've talked about on the show, different makers that we know and enjoy, lots of other stuff. So we have a fun time in the Facebook group, and we'll share pictures of all these when the episode drops for you to be able to sort of follow along with us. Okay, we have some cool episodes coming up. We got a history thing that we've been cooking up. That'll be a really fun one to go through. We have a great interview with an old friend that's going to be here in a future episode. So that'll be a fun time. And yeah, lots happening. One other thing we need to mention is a friend of ours, a USN suspect. His USN handle was USMC Grunt, and that's Nat Alvarez. And we just got word here recently that Nat has passed away, and that's a blow to the community. Nat's a super, super cool guy, always with a smile and a fun comment on Facebook, and he's very involved, or was in the Strider groups and stuff. So Nat was a good guy. He'll be sorely missed. Rest in peace, Nat, and condolences to Nat's family.
Yeah. Rest in
Yeah,
peace.
he was a good dude.
Rest in peace, SFFS.
All right. Well, I think that's it, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for great picks, guys, and some fun conversation. And we'll talk to everybody next time.
Thanks all.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care, folks. Thanks for listening.
To learn more about our makers, you can find Tom Crine on the web at crineknives.net, in his Facebook group, Crine Knives, or in his Instagram account, at Crine Knives. For Michael Birch, check birchtreeblades.com, Facebook group Birch Tree Blade Works, or Michael's Instagram at birchtreeblades. For myself and the Raygun Bead Project, we're on the web at raygundivision.com. We have a Facebook group called Raygun Division, or my personal Instagram, at msteiner. For those interested in photos, references from the show, or some discussion about the show itself, you can find us on the web at markofthemaker.com, in a Facebook group called Mark of the Maker, or on our Instagram, at Mark of the Maker. Last but not least, the ultra cool and haunting background music we use for the show is a piece called Noir Guitar by Stevie's Amp Shack, found at the Free Music Archive and licensed under Creative Commons CC BY 4.0. Thanks for listening.